Well, it's Thursday, and you all know what that means. As always, when it comes on a Thursday, we review, of course, TNA. As you all know, TNA has only been what, maybe a week and a half or two off from Slammiversary. As you know, we have already crowned brand new tag champions, brand new world champion, X Division champion, digital media champion, and whatnot. But however, as you all know, last week I did not see what happened, but I'm well aware after, of course, Mustafa Ali lost the X Division title to Mike Bailey, he's now aiming for the TNA World title. But however, amidst of that, we do have a little problem. Josh Alexander refuses to give his explanation for his action at Slammiversary. And then, of course, we move on with Ring of Honor with some interesting matches. As you know, they were still in Texas. Of course, the Texas boys themselves, Dustin Rhodes, along with Ross and Marshall Von Erich, decided to take action. We also had some very interesting matches, but at the end of a Ring of Honor, we had a surprise visit from someone we haven't seen for quite some time. Now, I will talk a little bit about that because I think there's people that have been confused what's been going on behind that. But we cap this episode, of course, with some news updates to give you guys updates what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling. But also in our developments, we are going to be talking a little bit about a little thing that we did not know, but however, it was foretold. And I think many of you know what I'm talking about. As you all heard, Mercedes Moné filed for divorce from her husband, and this is something we were not aware of about what's been going on in her personal life because, of course, much of the wrestlers they keep it private. So, let's get started with another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, the factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, I can either put it on the next episode or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us, so click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions set aside, and I'm giving it all she's got, Captain. So let's begin with our very first review, and that is, of course, TNA. Alrighty then, so TNA. As you know, we're not that far off away from Slammiversary as we crown brand new champions and new storylines began to develop. Now, our first match we have, of course, are the Rascals, all three of them. Trey Miguel, Zachary Wentz, and NXT's Wesley. So yes, Wesley was involved in this one too. They face against Kushida, and of course the guys from Speedball Mount Trent 7 and our brand new X Division champion, Mike Bailey. Now I know what some of you are thinking. Mike Bailey as the X Division champion. Surely someone is going to pick up the win to get a shot at the X Division title. That may be a possibility, but however, it was a pretty good match, not to mention some good spots. But however, it was of course Zach that picked up the win when he pinned Trent when he was applied to do the hot flames, and boom, just like that, they picked up the win together. Now, we were supposed to have an interview with Mustafa Ali, but however, it seems that things are not going well for him. Now as I mentioned this before, I was not there when he declared a shot of the TNA World Title last week. So basically, Campaign Singh decided to take matters. So apparently, Ali kind of questioned his loyalty. So basically, he did that. Now, later on we did see Campaign. He was interrupting Mike Santana because Mike Santana has a bone to pick with the system after what they did to him, and I'll get to that. So he decided to put himself in a match against him. Now, Mike Santana seems like you would think that he would be like, "Adi for mine and being a man," but he was like, "Okay." It was more like he's saying, "It's your funeral," that sort of thing. But yeah. Now, our next match we have Rosemary versus Kristara. Now, I might have seen her before, but I cannot remember. But you can say that this match was over, all thanks to Rosemary. But however, there's someone who has a bone to pick against Rosemary, and we're talking about the woman that could have dethroned the Juggernaut, Jordan Grace. We're talking about Ash by Elegance. So as you know, last at Slammiversary, the Stooge got frightened by her, and apparently she was unable to help her due to the fact that Rosemary scared the hell out of her. Now, Rosemary's reasons is that last time Ash by Elegance put Havoc sidelined, so that's a measure of revenge. So we probably will see those two clash somewhere down the line. Now, of course, the system, things have changed for them. Moose lost the TNA World Title to Nic Nemeth. Well, he was eliminated out of the six-way, and then of course Edwards and Myers lost their tag team titles to ABC. But that doesn't mean anything in some capacity. They felt like, okay, yes, we lost the titles, but it doesn't mean that we cannot reboot and go back to start everything again. So that's the idea. So once again, they decided to go by the whole mantra, trust in the system. Now, we do see it. We were supposed to have an in-ring interview with Josh Alexander to explain his actions to what he did at Slammiversary. But however, he said he doesn't owe anybody a thing. However, as soon as he was, saying things to Gia Miller, refusing to talk to her, as soon as he left, Ryan Meneth, who's being a kind person, that checked up on her, saying she was okay. But however, Ryan Meneth decided to head out to the ring because he was facing against that tried to take out his brother before Slammiversary. We're talking about the so-called king himself. Oops, sorry, my bad. Frankie Kazarian. Now, of course, Frankie, as you know, declares himself as the king, and he did that by applying a springboard cutter onto him, and just like that, it was over. But however, Josh Alexander showed up out of the blue and decided to C4 spike Ryan Meneth as a message to Nic Nemeth. Now, it's no secret to those who know Josh Alexander, especially if you know what the storyline is. He wants to get back into the title hunt for the TNA World Title. So that's his end game. So we'll get to that at some point. Now, our next match, we have Masha Slamovich versus Jody Threat. Now, those who know this, I did not witness this event. Both of these ladies were involved in Bloodsport, and of course, Masha Slamovich won. But this time, there's a little wrinkle here. This is a wrestling match. However, of course, Alicia will do whatever it takes to ensure that this match falls favors to Masha. But Dani Luna tried to get the referee to take a look, but no luck. So she decided to take matters into her own hands take out Alicia because she left the belt like she did last time in the middle buckle of the middle safety buckle, and just like that, it did not work in their favors because it was Masha who got her head slammed into it, and Jody Threat applied the self-destruct, and just like that, Jody Threat won. But however, does this mean that they will make another play for the TNA Knockouts Tag Team titles? Well, that is a question that we will see down the road. Now, as I mentioned before, Kamping Singh is eager to prove his loyalty to Mustafa Ali, and, well, he has to face against the most baddest dude on the planet, Mike Santana. Now, of course, Mike Santana has no beef with him. I think it was more Mike Santana thinks of him that, you really want to face me? Okay, it's your funeral. Because we know where his focus are. We know that he has one thing in mind, and he finished him off regardless. But he did post it out a promo. He understood the real problem here. He understood now that Moose is threatened by him. Now remember, Mike Santana has one thing in mind since returning, is to win the TNA World title. And of course, that hose bag, Dango, decided to get in the way and cost him that. Well, it's only a matter of time until Santana gets his hands on Moose, who ordered the hit. So, we'll see what happens until then. But the real question you ask yourself, should Moose be worried about this? I mean, personally, if I was Moose is very calm and very chill. But knowing Santana, we don't know what he's capable of. I wouldn't be surprised if he attacked all members of the system. So, we'll just wait and see what that happened. Now, our main event is the TNA World title, Mustafa Ali versus Nic Nemeth. Now, to note here, Kamping Singh was not there. I guess he has proven that he is useless because he could not defeat, of course, Mike Santana. I don't know what he was thinking taking on, but you would think that Mustafa Ali, who is desperate, would try to win this belt. Well, it didn't do any well because, of course, Nic Nemeth, on the other hand, applied the danger zone, allowing himself to retain the belt. However, we did see Josh Alexander right there watching dead-eye to him. So it looks more, it's like he's now going to make a play for the TNA World title. So it's only a matter of time until that happens. Now, before the event was over, we did see a wedding between both PCO and, of course, Steph the Landers. Of course, Rhino being the best man, Saya Brookside being the maid of honor, Santino being the man officiated. And of course, like any other speech, people say, does anybody object? Well, of course, certain people will object. And that is that fat lard himself, AJ Francis, and his sidekick, Rich Swann, who's in fact going to try, but is like, okay. They just kept forward. And then we did see Matt Cardona showed up and crashed the party. Basically, he decided, I don't know what his intentions are. I wouldn't be surprised if he's after the digital media title again, but he did that. However, Steph the Landers was unexpectedly, who we know she has always sided with him, decided to side with PCO, which was very, very unusual. But I don't know what's going on here, but I have to say, this is a very interesting storyline they're throwing. I mean, you would have assumed in the back of your minds that Steph's going to stab PCO, but it seems she did not. But who knows what they're going to go with the direction. So we will see what happens. But until then, we'll save that until next week. But for right now, let's move on with our last and final review, Ring of Honor. Okay, Ring of Honor. Well, as I said before, I did not see last week's Ring of Honor, but let's get started. Our first match, we have a six-man tag match. We have the Iron Savages, Boulder, Bronson, and Jack Jamison, taking on, of course, Texas Boys, Dustin Rhodes, and the Von Erichs, Ross and Marshall. Now, you probably would think in a way that this will be a tough challenge because, of course, the Iron Savages are big dudes. That's basically part of it. So that kind of plays it out. But there is one main weapon that the Von Erichs have that's been very effective, and that is, of course, the Iron Claw. And of course, it was in fact Marshall who actually applied that on Jack Jameson. And 1, 2, 3, good night. Just like that, it was completely over. Now, our next match, we have Top Flight, and the surprising thing is, we have a flight attendant, and that is none other than Layla Gray. They take on a guys called Ace of Spade Academy. One of them is LSG. You may have seen him in Ring of Honor in the past, but the one thing that was new was Layla Gray. Now, we haven't seen her for quite some time. I mean, remember, she was part of the baddies with Jade Cargill back in the day, but it's great to see her now. I'm not sure if they will utilize her now, as a member of Top Flight. That's something we could definitely see. But however, Top Flight, as you know, are one of the most best tag teams we've seen on both AEW and Ring of Honor. They were able to pick up the win thanks to Darius Martin, who made the pinfall, and just like that, it was over. Now, the Infantry, as you know, they've also been one of those tag teams that have been making a great name for themselves. But however, they feel like they're now in the predicament. They're now being in the same line with Top Flight, So basically, it's more like the battle who is the upcoming best tag team in Ring of Honor. So that plays out pretty well. So we could see a potential feud between both Top Flight and, of course, with the Infantry. All we got to do is wait and see when that day happens. Now, our next match, we have Robin Renegade facing off against Maya World. Now, I made a point not too long ago. As you all know, recently there was mentioned about the Monet Corporation that stated that there's only a matter of time until Robin and Charlotte joined Monet Corporation. But however, seeing her here, I think that will help build up momentum until that day happens. But it was, of course, the pump handle by Robin Renegade that put away Maya away, and just like that, it was over. Now, Melissa Santos, I was interesting to hear that she is now our brand new backstage interviewer. But however, she interviews Anthony Green. Of course, her question was, of course, where is JD Drake? Now, we don't know where he is, but his cousin showed up out of nowhere. I don't know what's the deal. It's like Anthony Henry seems like agitated that he was there. So, I mean, I don't blame him. I mean, you do have one of those cousins that's basically annoying sometimes, but that's how it rolls. Now, our next match, we have Beast Mortos. Now, we have seen recently Beast Mortos. As you guys saw on Dynamite, he pinned the ROH World Champion. There's no doubt in my mind that sooner or later he may cash in that opportunity. But right now he's facing against AR Fox. Of course, AR Fox does have some strong capability. I mean, he does have some great agility, athleticism, and that sort of thing. But however, that didn't do any well for him because he was taken out by Beast Mortos, allowing himself to have a pretty good win, just like that. Now, our next match, we have Anthony Henry versus Wheeler Yuta. Now, of course, this was going to be a good match for many reasons. These two guys do have some technical wrestling capabilities, and I think that it plays out pretty well. Now, Wheeler Yuta, as you all know, is coming out of the whole thing, losing the Pure Championship to Lee Moriarty back in Death Before Dishonor, which I have not seen or reviewed at all. I decided to skip it due to the fact that there was no point to talk about it. But nonetheless, Wheeler Yuta is definitely going to be on the backtrack to reclaim what he lost, but also make up for what he's lost. If you guys remember, he was out of action due to concussion. They were playing some protocols to ensure he's 100% okay. But he was able to pick up the win against Anthony Henry with the seatbelt, and that's how it rolls. However, while he was in the back, of course, Anthony Henry had to deal with his annoying cousin. So just putting it out there for all of you. Now, of course, Speaking of the pure champion, Lee Moriarty is now putting out a notice to anybody who's willing to get stepped on if they challenge. So there will be a lot of pure wrestlers that would definitely challenge them. I mean, whoever is deciding, we just gotta wait and see. Now, our next match, we have the premier athletes Tony Nese and Ari Daivari taking on the Superstars. I don't remember the names, but of course you can guess that this match ended with the premier athletes, all thanks to Ari Daivari just winning the match. Now, it's only a matter of time until they make the play for the tag team titles. That's something we do know that could happen. Our next match, we have Jacoby Watts taking on Fuego del Sol, the master of the Tornado DDT. Now, we haven't seen him for quite some time, but however, those who know Fuego, he's originally from Oklahoma, but he treats Texas like a secondary home for him. So it would make sense for him to be there. But he did manage to pick up a good win by applying the Tornado DDT, and just like that, it was over. Now, our next match we have, of course, is Brian Cage taking on Rocky Romero. I have to say, what a main event. It was practically amazing. I mean, you look at the whole story like David versus Goliath. You look at Rocky Romero, he's a bit more smaller, but he's facing a guy with much muscle. But however, that did not stop Goliath one way or the other, because I'm not sure if he put him in the drill claw. I'm not sure if that was the move, but it ended just like that. And then, of course, Melissa Santos conducted an interview with the current ROH Tag Team Champions, the Undisputed Kingdoms, Bennett and Taven. However, the Infantry, as you all know, want to have another crack at them. But however, of course, I don't think the Undisputed Taven and Bennett are thinking they're ready for another round, but sooner or later they will come back around it. Now, before the show ended, we did see Dustin Rhodes. As you know, as I mentioned, they were in Texas, and he decided to address the fan base about everything. And then, of course, unfortunately, the Von Erichs were not there. And then later, Evil Uno showed up, and then him and the rest of the Dark Order attacked them. But out of nowhere, here comes to the rescue another felon Texan, and that is, of course, Sammy Guevara. Now, I don't think he's been living in Texas for quite some time, but he is now back, and he is now here in ROH, and he saved Dustin Rhodes. So I don't know what's the deal, what's going on. But however, I'm going to explain to something to many of you. There's been a lot of talk about Sammy, about when will he be coming back, but apparently there's been discussions about him in AEW. He wants to be a babyface, but they were discussing about him being a heel. So that was the thing. Now, some people think, oh, the only reason he was in ROH is because of Mercedes Moné, but it was already been clarified it had nothing to do with it. But Sammy did say that he did bury the hatchet with her about that. But this time he feels I think that there was things about, okay, the creative thing about Sammy and AEW, but maybe that's the reason he went to ROH, to be the babyface. So we'll see what happens until then. Hopefully the real answer does come in as soon as possible. So I think we are done with ROH, so I believe it's time for news updates. So welcome to our news update. So this is what we have for all of you. So we're going to start out with upcoming events with the promotions. Now, majority of it will come from GCW, as we know. Now, by the time this video is out, we have, of course, the Now and Forever show. 2 matches have been announced, which is, of course, one is a 4-way with Manders, Broner, Stackhouse, and Pero. And we do know there's another match that was announced for a 6-man. We have Galeno de Mal, Jack Cartwheel, and Erichs. They take on Alec Price, Marcus Mathers, and Dustin Waller. Now, 2 days later, of course, for the Asbury Park show, Can I Trust You, on August 4th, 2 matches have been announced. Griffin McCoy versus Jack Cartwheel, and then we have, of course, Gringo Loco versus Tony Deppen. And then later on in the Japanese tour they'll be doing later on August 14th at the Shinjuku Face event, we do have You Only Live Once. Now, 2 matches have been announced. One is for the JCW Championship, which is the Jersey Championship Wrestling. Masha Slamovich will defend her title against, I believe, Marcus Mathers. And of course, Gringo Loco has been announced to be in there. He'll be facing against Alex Zane. And then, of course, the annual homecoming event in night 2, it was announced there's going to be a 6-man tag match. We have Drew Parker. He teams up with Big Joe and Lou Nixon. But their opponents are none other than Matt Tremont, Hoodfoot, and Brandon Kirk. And then, of course, we go back to Chicago for the Live Fast Die Young event on August 31st. Mustafa Ali, as you know, who is a native of Chicago, he'll be appearing there too. But later it was announced that he will be facing against a former WWE alumni. You may know him too. He was known as Scripps and Reggie. Now goes by Sidney Akeem. That's going to be one hell of a match to watch. And then, of course, we have Miyu Yamashita versus Megan Bayne. Now, another new show has been announced for September on the 15th in Rochester, New York, which, of course, you know that location is known as Brody Lee Country. 4 names have been announced for the show for the G Code that will take place on September 15th. We have Mance Warner, Megan Bayne, Rich Swann, and Effie. Now, also, as you all know, the entire month of August, the Maharaja, better known as Jinder Mahal, will be there. He's scheduled for 3 appearances. Now, he will be appearing at the Cleveland show. He'll be facing against Effie. And then, of course, at the Asbury Park, he'll be facing against Mike Bailey. He was also announced for night 1 of the Homecoming in Atlantic City on the 24th. Now, I think that's pretty much it what we have for GCW. So let's talk about some other things that are for upcoming events. Now, if you guys are big fans of Actwres Girls, then you may know this person has been announced. She'll be participating with Actwres Girls, Momo Tani. Now, those who know this, Momo Tani and Momo Kogo used to be in Actwres Girls, and they were once tag partners. But since they left because of the direction, and now it's announced that Momo Tani will be making her appearance on August 14th in Corkin Hall, which is going to be very interesting to see. And then, of course, sealing announced for the 18th of August in Shinkiba. Marvelous's very own Takumi Iroha will face against Mika Iwata. So that's going to be one heck of a match. Now, many of you may know this already. The full schedule has been announced for Hanako. As you know, Hanako is currently it will be an excursion since it was announced in Stardom. So this is what the schedule will look like. Let me pull it up. As you know, she'll be on this coming Saturday. She'll be at the New Japan Academy. She'll be participating at the New Japan Academy Showcase. And then on the 16th, she'll be in San Antonio for the United 210. I don't know what that is. And then she'll be heading to, she'll be staying will be in Antonio again the following week for Hybrid School of Wrestling. And then, of course, the 25th, the following day, she'll be going to the New Texas Pro Wrestling. And then finally, she'll be making her debut in MLW as well. And then finally, on the 30th of August, she'll be at New Japan Strong. I believe that's going to be the Capital Collision event. So yeah, that's practically what's happening. Now, for our developments, as you know, Mayu Iwatani is the current IWGP Women's Champion. She just recently talked about breaking the record of the IWGP defenses, and the one who has the most record is the Rainmaker Okada. So she talked about hoping to break that record. So we will see when that happens. What was it? Wrestling Observer has reported that CML are thrilled with their new relationship with AEW. Because AEW are not just because some of their guys are going to AEW, or it may be because AEW has guys going to theirs, that sort of thing. So apparently their relationship is going great. Now, Dave Meltzer reports that he's now under the impression, as you know, Giulia will be going to WWE very soon. So he's under the impression that she will be making appearances in MARIGOLD in Japan for the 4 big shows. So basically that's the idea. So that's something we will see what happens. I'm sure that's going to be something that we're looking forward to it. Now, Azumi, as you all know, has been talking recently about Kamitani. Now, she often said that she didn't know this is the kind of person she was. As you know, Kamitani has decided to bury Queen's Quest and unite with the former members of Odotai to form Hate. So that's practically what's going on. Now, as you all know, we talked about this. Mai Sakurai, who was a disciple of Giulia, she said that now with Giulia leaving and other things, she wants to elevate MARIGOLD. So basically, she feels that she wants to be that person to elevate it for what it is. So we will see what happens. I'm sure that that match with Giulia on the 19th of August is going to be something very special. Mustafa Ali has recently been in talks already. It turns out that his time with TNA is almost up, but he's also going to finish up his obligation with the independent shows. Now, there are those who've been talking recently. Is he going back to WWE? Others are saying about AEW. We know he made appearance. He was in the backstage appearances in AEW. We don't know, so we'll stay top of that as well. And then, of course, we have Kenoh. As you know, he's been talking about Jake Lee, who called him a bastard. Well, it looks like he's having a bit of fun knowing that Jake Lee is getting his butt whooped in the G1. So basically, as you all know, Jake Lee only has one win so far in the thing. So he's telling everybody in his block to beat him up. So because he had a laugh when he lost to Naito. So so I thought it was real fun. Now, I don't know about how you guys feel about this, but recently there's been a report about a former WWE superstar was not happy with the fact he's calling Triple H the worst booker ever. Now, I know some of you are probably saying that's a load of horse crap. I would agree, but I don't know exactly to what extent. And that person who actually spoken about that, well, I don't know how you guys feel about her, but that person is none other than Ash by Elegance, formerly known as Dana Brooke. So, I don't know. I mean, do you guys, she's full of it, or she just, I don't know. I feel like they didn't use her too well, but we'll see. So you guys leave a comment below about her. What do you guys think? Now, recently you guys heard this already. It's been told that Mercedes Moné has announced that she's filed for divorce from her husband, who she's been married for 8 years. Now, it turns out there was more to this story that we did not know about. It turns out that they were separated in 2020, but he moved out of the house in January of 2021. So basically, what's been happening is this entire thing between her and now her supposed ex-husband has kept secret. We don't know exactly, but she said she never told Vince. Now, by the time Vince was gone, she was also gone as well. So we don't know exactly why she didn't say anything till then, but you can sure that she seems okay. She's in good spirits, but she knows that this is the end of a ride for her, but she feels free. But all we can do is support her. Hopefully she is moving forward with her life. But she never talked about it, whether she wants to get married again, but who knows? We'll just wait and see. So I think that's pretty much it what we have. So yeah, so we covered everything in our news update, so that's pretty much it. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we do have, of course, AEW Rampage and NXT Level Up. Now, I haven't decided yet if what other reviews I might do, but as I always do, I'm just gonna wing it. So I think that's pretty much it for now. I'm keeping this a little shorter. So we'll see what happens. So until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.